Okay, so I'm joined in the latest in this series of chats with Queen's staff by Paul Curry, who's the operations manager with Queen Sport, and Michael Gregory, who's the residential life manager with accommodation. Very welcome to the conversation today, chaps.
Thank you, folks.
So strange time. I suppose we're all settling in a little bit, and I suppose we got a bit of a break over Easter, or some of us got a break over Easter. I'm sure for the two of you it was maybe a little bit different. But obviously looking forward to getting a wee bit of insight into what's happening in each of your domains around the university. Paul, if I maybe just start with yourself, just on a personal note, just how have you been getting on over the last couple of weeks, and how have you adapted? So was it in the previous episodes of this previous chats we've talked about how people are adapting, but you must have adapted at this point.
Yeah, I suppose we're 4 weeks, maybe roughly, into working from home now. So look, very different. Have a wife who's working from home as well. I've got 3 kids. Two of the girls are, they've got school work to do, so there's a bit of homeschooling needs to happen. And then I have a 3-year-old who just wants to get into every video call and hang off your shoulder as well. So completely different setup, different environment. But we've probably set a good structure in place, as well with ourselves, both trying to work from home and balance the kids as well, and the kids are, have got a good enough structure around their school, and, the Joe Wicks has been used a fair bit, and, they both play GA sports, so they're being hammered by their coaches with different training sort of regimes as well. So, they're ticking on well with that. But it's very different. It's not something that we're not used to. We have so many video calls now on Microsoft Teams a week. But it's given us an insight on how maybe working from home can work. And how we use technology as well. We've been on so many different meetings, and I see the director student plus was able to do a team meeting with 100 so staff and that as well. So good opportunity to see how it's working. It has its challenges, no doubt, as well. But yeah, we're coping well, as sort of as expected. Still getting our exercise to get out, whatever we can as well. The weather's been a godsend, I think, for many of us. I think if we were all in the house and there was rain outside, it would be a very different environment again. So, but yeah, doing well.
Good stuff. Glad to hear it. And I suppose the ultimate question is, well, what's interesting about the conversation that we're going to have here is that both of you are managing operations which are ongoing on campus. So everyone that we've talked to so far is mostly remotely based. So Paul, if I just ask you to continue and say, how does an operations manager manage operations when the facility is officially closed? What sort of contact is there with the building and the facility?
Yeah, I suppose we had an idea, that maybe services would be reduced. So between myself and my colleague Manny Rogers and so many of the guys in the team within Queen Sport, we put a plan in place to sort of close down facilities when we were told to. We have 5 sites in total. The easiest one was obviously the guys in accommodation where we have our gym. We were able just to close the gym down as well. We do the cottage in the mornings, which is relatively easy. However, we've got the 3 other sites there, the PEC, we've got Upper Malone, and then the boathouse. And as much as activity then was stopped, there's a lot of stuff still goes on in the background. There's a lot of work that still needs to go on. And now that we've closed as well, still a lot of systems need to run. Still a lot of plant operations still need to be running as well, albeit in a reduced capacity. But we're liaising with our guys in the States on a daily basis, just making sure that sites are secure, plant are still operating as they should be. And it's give the guys an opportunity as well to go in and maybe do some essential work who are on site. Sort of fire systems are being upgraded and checked. Security systems are being maintenance checked and that as well. So yeah, look, there was a fair bit of work going on in the background when we had to close down, but collectively everybody within Queen Sport give a hand in that, and we got it closed down sort of relatively on time.
So maybe we'll come back to some of the specifics out in a minute. But Michael, if I could bring you in at this point, so you're in the middle of accommodation, which you were just telling me before we started recording. There has more than 1,000 students still in situ there. Tell us a bit about that challenge. And as the first person I've spoken to is actually based on campus, what's it like being in there? Is it a bit of a ghost town?
Well, Connor, if I could first say just about, Paul, typical Aldergrove man there, talks a good game there. I didn't think it was going to be enough time for me, but yeah, we're surprisingly, we're keeping ourselves really busy. We've over 100 staff working in accommodation. Some of the staff are working from home, and some of us are providing an operational service. So, for example, I would manage a big facilities team, and so they're very busy with cleaning, clearing the halls for students that have left and went home. A lot of waste management stuff going on, so a lot of rubbish going out of the place. So that's keeping that team really, really busy. We're very, very lucky. Say one of the challenges we probably have at the minute is just keeping staff motivated. Getting used to the fact that there's not a lot of students moving around. Up here in the Elms BT9 site, we've roughly about 1,800 students. So it's every sense of a village. It really is. There's usually lots and lots of people moving around. So that's strange and takes a bit of getting used to. And I suppose missing some of our colleagues, just for a catch up, for a coffee in the morning and seeing, what we're doing for the week ahead and what's been happening. So, but I suppose Microsoft Teams is, it's great. So we're using that as much as we can. But I have to say the staff are in great form. The weather's good, and they're out and about plenty as well. And so that side of things is going really well. The other side is the residential life team. They're obviously managed by Cecilia Heron. They're very, very busy at the minute, and they're doing a fantastic job just liaising with students. You said there with 1,000 students over the site here, the 2 sites in the city centre, and then our off-site houses. So that's a big challenge for that team. But I have to say they're doing a great job, and if you want, I'm happy to talk to you about what they're doing.
Yeah, well, maybe just ask you to just lay out where students are actually situated at the minute, because I suppose over the last 10 years or so, people have become very used to the idea of the Elms Village, but there's been a lot of new initiatives from the university in terms of accommodation in the last couple of years, and people may not be aware of the new sites which have sprung up. Maybe you could talk us through that.
Yeah, so we've 2 new sites in the city centre. So we've Elms BT1, which is in College Avenue, and Elms BT2 there, just at the back there of Invest NI, just for people get mixed up where it is. So we've approximately 500 students in BT2 and 800 approximately in BT1. So there's still students in the city centre. We have students there. We have off-site housing, just down beside the university, and then obviously up at Elms Village here. So they're pretty much evenly spread out amongst all the different sites. So I say that's a bit of a challenge in that we're spreading the team a bit thin, where they're making sure they're trying to liaise, touch base, and keep in touch with all these students as much as they can.
Yeah. So, Paul, if we just come back to you for a minute, so maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the team in which you work within, normally the PEC where you're based, or around Upper Malone. How many people do you work with on a daily basis? How many people are you responsible for within the structure there?
Yeah. So operations would be the biggest team, obviously, within Queen Sport. It's approximately maybe sort of around 50 permanent staff, and then quite a large bank then of casual staff across then all of our sites. The teams, there's a variety of different teams. There's myself and Mandy, operations managers. We will have our centre tenants and our lifeguards. We have our receptionist team, our fitness team, our cleaners as well. Our guys up at Upper Malone. Hope I haven't missed anybody. But so a variety of staff spread across multiple sites. Sorry, the guys in BT1 as well, our fitness instructors, and yeah, all have a massive role to play in the service that we provide. be it for participation sport or performance sport, to our members to deliver our programs as well. So it's a big team effort right across the whole unit.
Yeah, and Michael, you've already been talking a little bit about the team, which operates within accommodation there. I suppose one of the things that I was interested in hearing over the last couple of weeks is staff being shared between different elements of the Student Plus directive. So I think particularly cleaning staff to start with, and how has that kind of sharing of resources worked over the last while?
I have to say it's worked really well. It's been fantastic, to touch base with some colleagues from. We've pinched a few of Paul's staff there. The only fear is they might not want to go back, but we'll work at it. We'll work some settlement when this is over. And we've staff from Campus Food and Drink and from Estates. So they're, I have to say, their transition in the team has been absolutely seamless, and they have a great work ethic, and they've really added to the team. So it's great to work with them, and I have to say they're doing a fantastic job.
Great. Yeah, I think as well, Connor, just to jump in there with Michael, the guys that and this is across all departments, but I can only speak for our guys as well. They were really sort of keen and motivated just to help, and whatever department needed sort of help or assistance in any way possible, be it down at accommodation or portering, etc. There was a lot of the guys were keen to help out in a scenario which is really tough and ongoing at this minute as well. So I believe, I know some of the team leaders have been speaking to the cleaners that have been in accommodation, and they're really enjoying it, and I'm glad to help out. So which is really good.
That's great to hear. Michael, you were going to tell us about some of the things which have been sort of, I suppose, taking place there within accommodation for the students who are in situ. Seems like there's actually been quite a lot going on, albeit remotely. So maybe you'd run us through some of the events that you've been running to keep people occupied.
Well, I mean, the Residential Life team just before Easter, so 1,000 Easter eggs were delivered. So every student who was here throughout the accommodation, they all got an Easter egg, which was great. The RLC team, the Residential Life coordinators, they're continuing with their weekly drop-in sessions. So there's 4 sessions per week, which is great. So it means the students have any issues, just so it's just consistent the service they're providing, so they can drop into these guys, and they're great. They'll be able to listen and give advice or signpost, just as normal. I mean, some of the events we've had our book club going. We've Elms Got Talent, Rate My Plate, Humans of Elms, and of course the TikTok challenge, which is very appropriate at the minute.
Tell us more about that.
Let's just getting the students to be creative and coming back with their best TikTok dances, and so it's been a bit of fun. And it's just getting students to, I mean, a lot of students here are still studying, and there's a bit of monotony to life at the minute, and there isn't the same community feel. So anything we can do like that, just create a wee bit of fun, a bit of a diversion to their day, we think is helping, and there's been great feedback from the students. Another great initiative that's happened here is the students that have left. We would always ask the students if they're willing to donate any food or clothing, anything like that. So as usual, the response has been fantastic, and Cecilia and her team, they've been able to get items of crockery and clothing and food all donated to the local food bank, various clothing banks such as Oxfam, Salvation Army, and Bernardo's. So they've all benefited, and the students have been as generous as ever. We got Easter activity packs out. We would still have staff and family in Willow Walk here at Elms Village. So we've kids here living with us in Willow Walk. So the team got them their Easter packs out, just before Easter, and their Easter eggs. And they were very, very grateful. So there's a lot going on, and we believe it or not, we have our allotment up and running. The weather's good, so Cecilia's been out watering the plants, and we've a bit of lavender growing, so some students involved in that in the allotment, and just getting bingo, quiz sessions, just anything we can think of, just to probably sick listening to us now.
No, it's great. I suppose it's an exciting time of year that way. If you can get out into the outdoors and get a few seeds in the ground, like we got the first few seedlings up actually over the last couple of days here, and it definitely helps to take your mind off things a wee bit, so it's a great pastime to be having.
It's going to be hard, Connor, to beat the TikTok video from the staff at accommodation. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I haven't managed to see that one
They were
yet. No.
kicking the loo roll about everywhere.
Oh.
Yeah, you notice I kept it up about 3 times
I
then, Paul.
noticed that. Yeah.
Can't see anybody from the PEC doing that, but it's
We're
another story.
working on something bigger.
Right,
Sounds
okay.
challenge accepted, I would say
Look
there.
forward to it then, yeah.
So I suppose, Paul, one of the things that I was interested in asking you about was a specific thing to do with the site at the PEC there, and it's the swimming pool. So when you close a facility like a swimming pool for an extended period of time, maybe people think you just close the door of the facility and you can just head off. But what do you do with a 25-meter pool and a diving pool when you have to close the doors for a few months?
Yeah, I suppose there was a lot of discussion before we closed around what we should do, what we would have normally did in the past as well. I've seen us in the past where we've had to drain the pool, to carry out essential maintenance around the actual pool area, and the actual pits themselves, with tile work and things. But yeah, I think most people will probably think, we're closed for a long period of time, so we'll just drain the water out. But we haven't done that. We're not allowed to do that as well. And what we've worked with our guys based up in accommodation, Neil Weir and Stephen Lowry and Phil Cochran as well. And really, we've reduced the plant and took guidance, obviously, from our colleagues in the States and other facilities as well, and reduced the plant and the heating to the minimal settings, basically. I think the concern is that if you were to drain the pool and shut all them systems down for a long period of time, actually get them to back up and running again, it could cause more issues, more faults. The plant itself is, it's quite old, and can have its challenges at times, as well. But I think the decision was made, we'll reduce the temperature in the pool, we'll reduce the flow, and we'll just keep everything running as minimal as possible. And then when we get word that we're going to then reopen again at some stage, it's only a matter of sort of putting the settings back up to normal again, and then the pool will be fully operational. If we drain it, and with all the challenges that may come to the fore as well, you would probably be looking at a longer closure, or sorry, a longer time to get it reopened again, which is what we don't want. We want to open sort of for business as usual as quick as we can whenever we get the nod.
Yeah, so it's a delicate balance. It has to be struck there between doing what you think is obvious and doing what's probably better in the long term. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Michael, I just wanted to ask you a bit about some of the students who are there at Elms and down in BT1 and BT2. Whereabouts do a lot of the students in residential accommodation come from? Are a lot of them local students? How many would be international?
Now, I would say Pipney there, and it's tough. So I know that we've over 70 nationalities. Barry, is that correct? We've over 70 different nationalities throughout the site. So we'd have a lot of local students. So we'd have students from all around the world. I can't even think of an area where they wouldn't come from. Which is great, because it's great when we get the students to have culture and food nights and stuff like that, because we get to sample a bit as well, and find out just a lot about their experiences. At the beginning of the year, we usually put up a huge big map, and we ask students to call into the treehouse and put a pin where they've travelled from, where they live, where's home. And it's really amazing to see the vastness of it, the variety, and just it really, that's why it's a village, and that really enriches the whole village and community feel. So we have a whole range of students from all over the world. And
so the people who have stayed on through this period, are they more local or are they more international, or is it a mix of both?
More international. Some students have told us their borders are closed, so they're staying here. Some students have told us they feel safer here rather than going back wherever home is. But mostly international. A lot of our Chinese students are here. Some of our Indian, Malaysian students are here. But we do have some local students, and as I say, there are postgraduate students who just year in, year out, this is where they call home. So there's a whole. I was talking one day to a girl from Wales. She's a nursing student, and she says, I think I know too much about it. And she said, if I go home, there's too many people in our family. I think, there's about 5 or 6 in the family. And she said, it's safer for me to be here. So, and that's exactly the kind of conversations that we want to be having. We want to be know where these students are, and then that's when the residential life team are there and they're able to support students like that.
Yeah, great. I suppose just coming towards the close, Michael, we just ask you. I'm sure at this stage that all of the students that you have under your shelter at the minute will have access to the majority of the information. But are there any key points or highlights, bits of information you would like to get out to any students who may be watching this in accommodation, or I suppose maybe any staff members who need to know about these things?
I mean, one of the things we've just been re-emphasising is just keeping a safe social distance. So we've signage up, and whenever we're seeing students, we're reminding them in a nice as nice a possible way as we can. So I mean, that's obviously the messages that we have heard from our own local politicians is that we're doing a good job here, and that one of the reasons we're doing such a good job is because people are keeping a safe distance from each other. So we're emphasising that to students and staff alike. The other thing is, particularly for our students, to let them know, I mean, that all the residential life team are here. They're here every day. All the services are still available. They're touching base every day with the wellbeing team. The wellbeing team are still working. So all those services are still here for the students. And if anybody's out there and they're struggling, for any way, we're here and we want to have a conversation with them and we're here to support them. So that's really, really important to know that.
That's great. And how specifically can they get in contact with those teams?
Well, they can visit their local RA, who'll contact, who'll be able to help, or contact the RLC team. Come to any of the receptions, ask for a member of the RLC team. They'll all know, who their local reception is or who to contact, and just say they want to speak to somebody from the residential life team. And as I say, we're here every day, and we're here to help and we want to help.
Great. It's great to get that information out. And Paul, just in closing, in relation to Queen's Sport, I know it's kind of we're coming into a quieter time of the year for us, but a crucial time normally for soccer teams and rugby teams and hockey teams going for league titles. And we had so many in contention with a lot of those off the table. What are the small things that you're looking forward to over the next couple of months?
Really, it's probably just to get back to the norm. We know whenever we do return as well, there was a lot of plans in place. You're talking about some of them teams there who would have been challenging, for titles and competitions as well. Their sport has stopped, obviously for reasons that we know of. But the facilities that they would use, particularly say at Upper Malone as well, there's plans, and there was plans in place to have them pitches, renovated, and a lot of work done again to get them up to the standard that they will be for next season. That's had a bit of a delay, as well, because obviously our guys aren't on site. But yeah, look, just getting back to norm, getting the sitting with your colleagues again, we are lucky we can do it, across Microsoft Teams as well. Just seeing them faces, we're pushing all the time, to make sure we're in contact with all our staff, not just by text, for those staff that maybe, aren't working at the minute and they're not working at home. And, let's lift the phone once a week, see how they're going, encourage them to, keep in contact with our line manager as well. But yeah, just getting back to normal, Connor, and get back to see the familiar faces and not just staff but the customers as well, and and set ourselves up again for another term then, hopefully in August, September.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's sooner rather than later. And just to say a special thanks to both of you for our conversation today. I think it was very useful for the listeners out there. And maybe we'll have a chat again in a few weeks' time.
No bother.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Paul.
Take it easy.
Great.